Hello, HBs! Erin and I are doing a weird today, and we're doing it to you. Last week we had a mild crisis, which we promptly and efficiently handled as only newly crowned scientists can. But it completely threw off recording the Reading Embrace. So, our first episode of the year is going to be a re-release. The good news is that means that everyone who emailed their Reading Embraces in by January 2nd will be in the official episode next week. The other good news is that we're setting the tone for 2022 with this warm, fuzzy, low-angst book about ladies being fucking badass and loving each other superbly in every sense of the word. So, here's Roller Girl by Vanessa North.
Hi, Erin. Hello, Erin. Actually, I need to say hello, Slaughtermelon.
Oh, yeah, because we're doing the roller derby book.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Wow, we're cooking with gas, aren't we?
Well, I went through several names, and then I haven't done it in like 2 years, so.
Yeah.
I don't answer to Slaughtermelon anymore. It's been a long time.
Do you have banter?
No. I have done nothing in the last 2 weeks. Nothing.
Wow. Yeah.
Sorry.
That's how I feel, too.
I'm wearing the same pants
Yeah.
I wore the last time I talked to you. That's the level.
Yeah.
Do you have banter?
Well, I mean, I have kid stuff, but like my kids are cute, but to me, you know.
I'm really glad that you've had that revelation. It's really nice.
they're
I'm psyched about this.
they're cute, like they're fucking cute, but it's like to me. So
you posted that picture of your daughter in the cult, being very Melody.
yeah.
And somebody commented like, "Oh my gosh, didn't you just have her? Like, how is this possible that she's this grown?" And my immediate thought was like, I have the total opposite reaction. Like, why are they still like this? Like, shouldn't they be adults by now? It seems like it's been years.
I know. Yeah, same.
Very cute. Very cute.
Honestly,
Objectively
same.
cute.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. They're great. I mean, honestly, they are. They're really great. Sure. There's like a lot of times where I'll say something, I'll be like, oh my gosh. And then, man, she did this and she's so fun. And Michael will just chuckle and I'll be like, what, dude? What? And he'll go, sometimes you're just such a mom. And it's really cute. I'm like, yeah, sure. Get off my nuts, bro.
Yeah, people think their own kids are just off the chain cute when they're just like standing there doing nothing. Like, I think I told you I had this coworker who would constantly show me pictures of her kids and be like, oh my God, look at my kids, are so cute. They'd just be like sitting there. And it's like, well, they're just existing. Like, you gotta amp it up a little bit before you show somebody a picture. They have to be doing a feat, a task.
Yeah, I'm not that person.
No, No, they are doing cute things when you send me texts and ticks.
Ticks, yeah. I send you ticks all the time.
Is this an episode?
Is this
anything? I don't know.
Are we achieving anything right now?
We're struggling a little bit right now.
Oh, but you know what I'm not struggling with, Erin?
What were you going to call me?
I was going to call you Ember, man. I almost called you Ember. I
thought I heard an F sound. Oh,
no,
geez.
it was a sigh. It was a micro sigh because I was so ashamed of myself.
Yeah, you should be. Anyway, Melanie, go ahead.
No! Do you know what I'm not struggling with? Erin, the new Heaving Bosoms challenge in the cult. Not struggling with that
That's
at
a
all.
good banter. You guys, HB Keanu made a challenge in the cult where it's called the Even Odds Challenge. He did it to celebrate our 2000th member in the cult. And it's when you see snow and act like you've seen it for the first time to get somebody to fall in love with you. It's a genius challenge. It's the best thing that's happened since the Firelight Challenge when you ate fruit like a sexy person, which we discovered HBs do not have fruit in their houses. That was a problem.
Yeah, so it turned into like a let's help each other out by peer pressuring. It turned into a
charity situation.
And fiber into your houses.
Yeah,
get some fruit in your houses.
Like, can I just do this Milky Way? Can I just do this cotton candy?
Yeah,
but my favorite one, and I'm sorry, HB, who did this, you might remember Melody because I can't remember who it was, but my favorite one was blueberries. They just threw the blueberries in the air and then they tried to nom them out of the air, and that was my favorite sexy fruit eater.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay, let's do the book.
Let's do the book. Erin, I liked book, but I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I have not had a good week. And so the lens with which I read this book is not great.
Okay.
Just because I'm having a mental health time, everybody. So I objectively liked this book. However, I'm having a hard time overall getting through anything. And so I might not be the most excited pants about stuff that normally I would be excited pants about.
I imagine you reading book and saying, that's funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's really good. That was really sexy.
And unfortunately, there are a couple of pet peeves that normally I'd be able to totally shrug off. And this time I would like actually cringe or recoil.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just because of my mental space and nothing to do with the text.
I liked book too. I also, one thing that I loved about book was novella. Nice.
No.
175 pages. What a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, when I sent those party emojis at you, boy, did I mean it. Oh, so excited that book was novella. Oh, boy.
I mean, I could have read more of book, but I also had busy week.
Yeah.
So we read Roller Girl by Vanessa North, which is number 3 in the Lake Loveless series.
Yeah.
Which is an actual lake. Well, and maybe not in real... I don't know. I don't know if it's in real life.
Listen,
but it's not a person's name.
With geographies.
No, I'm not going to. What I meant to say was that when I saw a Lake Loveless novel, I thought that was a person. Like, I thought maybe Lake Loveless was the name of a person, but it is a lake in Florida. Maybe fictional, maybe real. We're not going to look it up.
Maybe
so
based
you're
on
just
a
going to
place.
have to swallow that pill.
Yeah.
Might be based on a place. Might not. We don't know.
We don't know, everybody. And we don't care. So, Lake is real to us right now.
Lake is real. All right.
So, we meet Tina. And Tina is having a morning because her washer broke.
It's not even a morning, it's a night. It's like a 1 a.m.
Yeah, it's a middle of the night is what it is. You're so right. And so, she doesn't know what to do with herself, which is like a theme in the book going forward. But we find out in this first section that she's newly divorced and her wife took care of everything when they were married. So she's like, I don't know who to call or like what to do. Do I turn off a breaker? Do I unplug a water? What is a person to do?
Mm-hmm.
So she calls her friend Ben. Ben walks her through the logistics and offers to come over. And she's like, no. I'm going to do this. I'm going to take care of myself like an adult. So she takes care of things overnight with bucketses and other things that are important.
There's a breaker involved. Like
there
Ben tells her where the
involved.
breaker is. She does turn off that breaker.
Yeah.
She does call, or maybe she waits until the morning to call the repair person.
Yeah.
But I really liked this first part because you got a lot of stuff out of it. You know, she's got a dog.
Yes.
You know that she's still in the house where she and her ex-wife lived.
Right.
And ex-wife took care of everything. Then you get friend. You get like background with friend.
Yeah.
That at some point she like saved friend's life or something like that. You get a lot of stuff out of like chapter 1, which I really appreciated without being exposition-y.
Completely. And I also really liked the way that the character's background with her wife was revealed.
Yes.
Because there's a section where she says, I kind of want to call Tina. I want to call Lisa, her ex-wife, but I don't want to get into like the nitty-gritty awful drama And she says something like, Lisa will say, like, I used to take care of everything. And like, also, how dare you kill my husband?
That's just like casually dropped in there. Like, oh, she does blame me for killing her husband. And you're like, what? What does that mean?
Yeah, because Tina is trans. And it's post-transition. Yeah. She's done
Turns
her whole
out
transition.
She did have reasons for killing that husband.
Totally.
Because husband was wife the whole time.
Yeah, husband never existed except in Lisa's mind because Tina presented herself that way for a really long time.
Yes.
Tina, I don't know. I loved it because on the one hand, like when we finally get that conversation about Tina sort of taking ownership of her role in hurting Lisa and all that sort of thing, she doesn't let herself off the hook, but we also get other characters saying, you're not at fault, though. Like, it was shitty, sure, for Lisa, but it wasn't necessarily you doing a bad. And I really
Here are the reasons you should forgive yourself.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, I loved it. Okay. So anyway, sorry.
Can I just say, when you're talking about how she presented herself as male for many years, one of the things that was dropped in really early on, and it is in the next, it's in the next thing, so I'm jumping forward a little bit.
Sure.
But she talks about how she's putting on makeup for the repair person to come over. And she says something like, when I was a little girl.
Yeah.
And it really struck me. And, of course she was a little girl because she always was a girl.
Right.
She was just in a different body and was presenting as a male at that point. But there was just something about when I was a little girl, I used to play with makeup and blah, 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 just dropped in there that really hit me in a big way. And because she never got to be a little girl,
Right.
But she was a little girl.
Correct.
And I'm sorry, I'm going to cry. It wasn't even like a dramatic part of this book, but for some reason, that line, it says like, when I was a little girl, I played around with my mom's makeup or something like that, blah, blah, blah. And I don't even think it was meant to be like, I'm going to drop in this like special line.
This emotional nugget.
But honestly, it hit me. I had to stop reading for a little bit and really think about that. Anyway.
Yeah. I think part of it is just like the notion of childhood innocence in that situation.
Yes.
And the confusion that has to come with that in a world where gender is ascribed at birth in most situations, instead of sort of waiting to see what the kid thinks about themselves. You know what I mean? I don't know. Honestly, so much of this is so incredibly beautiful and impactful. There's a way later section that we'll talk about that actually had me completely in tears because it was a big inspire. But we'll get to that when we get to it. So.
It was just, guys, it was really well written and well woven in a way that we're not going to be able to convey here.
Yeah, because it was so natural and it was so casual in a way that I think was really important. Like you said, it wasn't a heavy ham-fisted thing that was plucked in there.
Exactly. There's never a time where this main character comes out and is like, I'm Tina and I'm transgender. Like, that doesn't happen.
Right.
She doesn't say that to anyone else, to include the other heroine in this story. Like, there's never a time where it's like, this is who I am. It's just dropped in the way that it would be dropped in if you were really getting to know a person.
Absolutely.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like if you were on this roller derby team and Tina joined, this is how you would slowly find out her background and her divorce and that she was transgender and that she had this other career and, all these things.
Right.
That's how you feel reading the book.
I also really, really liked in this section, you were just talking about like contouring really, really seriously and with a lot of purpose, because one of the other things that's woven into the book in a very graceful and really impactful way is the elevated violence that transgender people have to unfortunately look out for and be aware of and be frightened of just existing in the world. Because Tina talks about, Ben says, yeah, you're going to need to call a plumber. Do you want me to come over? Because Ben is her childhood friend. And she's like, nope, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And he's like, okay, I just want you to be safe. And I want you to know that you can call me no matter what. And so part of the reason that she is spending so much time and taking so much care in putting on her makeup for a repairman to come over to her house, even though she's been awake since 1 a.m. with like heavy buckets and towels and a big mess, is because she doesn't want to run into a situation where her gender is questioned in private and the man who shows up feels the need to lash out and become violent. And I just thought the way that was handled in such a logistical and careful way. Again, it wasn't the exposition.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'm going to make myself look extra girly so that whoever shows up
takes at face value, I'm a woman, and doesn't need to make a comment, doesn't want to have a conversation about it, doesn't recognize at all that she's a transgender woman, just takes it at face value.
Yes.
Instead of being like, what's your deal? Are you a man or a woman?
Yeah.
Or worse, getting like threatened in some way by the fact that she exists and lashing out. Right. And unfortunately, that sort of thing does happen.
Yeah, because toxic masculinity. Okay. So then, when she comes home,
and it's a lady plumber.
Oh, her name is Jo, and she's, what does she call her? Like an adorable butch or something? She's so cute.
Later on, she says something about an adorable butch, but would you like to hear what she looks like?
Like to hear that.
A woman hops out of the van. Oh, this is a first person book.
Yeah, so we
BT
never
dubs.
find out what Tina looks like from the perspective of a person who is identifying her as a sexy woman.
Yes. Yeah. So and you know what? Part of that I really like. We don't get a lot of, I'm sorry, we're just generally talking about the writing in this book a little bit too much.
Do this, but
one of the things that I really like about this book is that it doesn't have a lot of this. This is one that I'm about to read to you, so this is the outlier, but it doesn't have a lot of upfront descriptions of people.
Yeah.
It drops little descriptors in so that over the course of the book, you can get kind of a full picture of what the women on this derby team look like. But it's not like Stella approached the bar with her mocha skin and it's that all of that is not present in the book. You get an earring, and then you get a hairstyle, and then you get an eye color, and then by the end, and race is just not an identifier in the book.
Yeah.
In terms
instead you
discussing
get her
skin
afro
tones as foods,
or her braids, or I think maybe Chloe has dreads at one point. I can't remember exactly what she has, but it's you get things like that instead of her mocha skin or her caramel schmurder.
Yeah. And then you get to paint the picture of what the person looks like with the 4 or 5 descriptors that the author has given you, which I really like.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but not when it comes to Jo, the other heroine, which is the exact opposite of what I'm about to do. Okay. A woman hops out of the van, and I do a double take. Petite, with short black hair that flops in her eyes and a pierced nose. Baggy, cut-off camouflage cargos hang low on her hips, and a white-ribbed undershirt shows off swirls of colorful tattoos on her arms. Holy shit, she's cute. And she flashes me a quick smile and starts talking fast. And she starts going in on, and she has this raspy voice because she had a vocal cord infection.
That turned
she's hot,
into
guys.
a partial vocal cord paralysis and a constant rasp. She has the voice of a smoker, even though she's never smoked a day in her young life. Oh,
yeah, that's the dream, right?
Dream.
So she comes in. She's fixing the washing machine.
Yeah, she just does it.
I forget what Tina goes and does.
Tina goes and works out or something. It's great.
Oh, yes. Tina,
she's doing some workouts.
Is smart, and she knows what the fuck she's doing. She goes and puts on workout clothes and starts crushing weights in her workout room. Oh, but Jo does ask something about whether or not Tina has kids, because she's I guess baby clothes can often get stuck in these washing machine parts. So she wants to know if that's an easy, a possible culprit, to the thing. And she's like, no, I had a wife. We were and she goes into way too much detail. I had an ex-wife. She lived here. Ooh. Yeah. And she's like, no, we didn't have kids. And so she kind of spills the whole ex-wife, currently single, no kids pretty early. Anyway, Joe finds a running sock and then running sock is clogging up the thing. She comes back. She tells Tina while Tina is crushing weights.
In her room with all of her professional wakeboarding trophies.
Like, Tina, like, she acts like, oh, I don't know what to do. I've not dated before. I don't know anything about it. You know exactly what you're doing.
Jeez,
like,
Tina.
I'll just be hanging out next to all my professional wakeboarding trophies if you need me, hot plumber.
And I'll be a little bit glistening with sweat.
Exactly.
Fully contoured on my face. Just muscles. Ugh. She's so effortlessly hot. So anyway, Joe comes in and Joe's like, whoa, what's this about? And Tina's like, oh, it's my old life. I was a professional wakeboarder and like, burr, burr, burr.
Tina says she's not a professional wakeboarder anymore because Joe inquires about like, so what are you doing? So what's the situation? She's like, former. She like drops a very cryptic, like, that was in the past sort of a thing.
Yeah.
And then Joe's like, okay, well, this is kind of like, I don't really do this, but you want to like get some breakfast with me because it's like 8 a.m.
Yeah, that's
and I think Joe says she has to, Tina says she has to work, maybe?
No, she just super pauses. So it says, okay, so now that you're not my customer anymore, want to grab some breakfast with me? She bites her lip on a flirtatious half smile. The force of it hits me like I caught an edge on a double up, which is a wakeboarding term that I had to reread twice.
Yep.
Heat runs up my spine. Yes, I want breakfast with her and maybe a coffee-flavored kiss and to run my hands through that floppy hair to feel if it's soft. Having sexual thoughts about someone other than my ex-wife is such a novelty that I stand there and stare at her for a moment like a deer in the headlights. Her smile fades. Nah, never mind. I just thought, and she goes, I would love to. I wince. But I can't. I have a thing, a prior commitment.
Oh, it's Ben's thing.
And then she says, but I want it. Want you. Shit. Want to see you.
Yeah.
It's so
That's what
cute.
it is.
Yeah.
And then she asks if she can go out tonight. And Tina's like, I've been up since 1 a.m. Like, I just don't feel like I would be like a great date tonight.
Yeah.
And then so they make a date for the following night.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
So now we've explained previously, I think when she was talking to Ben, because when she called Ben last night about the washing machine situation, Ben said, are you still going to be able to make my party tomorrow?
Right.
So annually, Ben has some kind of day I got sober, like a live day sort of party.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
You act like this is complete news to you, and which makes me so nervous that I'm wrong about it.
No.
Because so at one point when she called him the night before, she's like, I'm sorry to bother you. Like, I'm sorry that now that Lisa's gone, you're like my go-to for everything, and it's not fair to you. And he says, no, Tina, listen, it's you. If you hadn't come over to borrow a screwdriver that night long ago, I'd be dead. And it's never mentioned again.
Yeah.
And then this is some kind of like sobriety day celebration for him. So I don't know. This is book 3. So I don't know if he's book 2 or book 1 or whatever.
I bet he is.
So this is like a thing that all the friends get together and celebrate, which is kind of cool. It's kind of like an alive day
really
thing.
Sweet. And they do boat things. They do wakeboarding things.
Wakeboard times.
And one of her friend Eddie, who likes to go to sex clubs and get, in her words, like get beat the fuck up or something like that.
He's covered in bruises.
He is.
From his new musclehead young boyfriend named Wish.
Oh, yeah.
Wish
caned him last night, Erin.
That is not a name. That is... That is a deep desire of someone's heart. That is not a name, Wish. What is the story there?
I bet it's book 1 or 2. I'll tell you that much.
Or 4. I don't know.
Oh, it could be book 4. Who knows? Yeah.
Who knows? We didn't look these things up.
We didn't,
is the
you
thing.
guys. Yeah. Okay, so they have a great time at this place, and Ben is like engaged. They're like currently wedding planning, and his fiance is also a lot younger. Right now, I can't remember his name. It doesn't really matter.
Dave, I think.
Dave sounds right. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, so they have a great time and they go wakeboarding and she shows Wish how to pop a squeegee on a wakeboard and it's a great time. Okay?
Pop a squeegee.
Yeah.
Squeegee.
Just pop it.
One of the things, so, we go with her when she's on the wakeboard and she's, squeegeeing around.
Yeah.
Hopping over waves and the whatnot. And one of the things she says is that her very favorite thing about being a wakeboarder was that feeling of like flying when the boat whips around and you go up into the air.
Yep.
And it's kind of, there's a throwback to that later in the book that I did notice when I read it thoroughly.
Oh, Erin, you're so sexy when you read thoroughly. Okay. So anyway, they're at the barbecue later, and once again, Ben is right there, and she tells him that she has a date the next day, and he's like, whoa, I'm excited for you, but also, like, be a little careful.
Mm-hmm.
And the line is, he goes, I just meant that you don't know this girl, her friends, her family, anything about her. People are weird about gender stuff. If you're ever scared for your safety, call me, okay? And if you don't get me, call Dave. No questions asked. We're here for you. And I just, sweet. God, Ben is such a
great friends.
Great friend. That's the other thing I love about this book, and we'll get to it, I'm sure, later. But just like the friendships and like the found family. Oof, it did good things for me.
I feel like this book had opportunities to go real dark, real fast.
Oh,
a lot, because we're dealing with a lot of like very emotional issues and a lot of we just talked about how like Ben maybe had like a suicide and a drug addiction and like this really messy, horrible divorce and like all of these things, but it never like goes dark. And no one who is on the page is ever ill-intentioned or like malicious or bad. Like there's no bad people in this book. There's no like
it was
villains.
Really nice. Yeah.
It was really refreshing. It was really great. It was what you want out of like a romance. Totally. Novella. Anyway.
And I mean, I hate to call you out, but it's also like set in Florida. So sorry, Florida HBs, but it could have gone to places.
You don't think that Lake Loveless, Florida is like just the pinnacle of LGBTQIA?
Listen, maybe this is the Wilton Manors of this universe. However, I just don't.
How dare you?
I don't trust a Florida on the face of it.
We're going to get so much bullshit from Miami HBs.
Listen,
we're going to get
at me.
Listen, there's good pockets of Florida.
I never said there wasn't. I just said that it could have gone places and nobody can refute that. Nobody can. All right?
I work with a girl from Florida and we call her the Swamp Princess. So I understand where you're coming from. I just don't want the Florida HBs to get mad at us. Okay. All right. So
now it's time for a date, you guys. And she gets all dressed up in this flowery maxi dress with a halter top because it like doesn't.
Oh, hey, HBs. I don't know if you've heard, but we have a Patreon. For as little as $5 a month, you get over 150 bonus episodes, most of which include Erin, videos of regular episodes, author hangouts, and so much more. Do you want to hear Erin and I recap every single episode of Crash Landing on You? What about a little film called Psycho Stripper? Do you want more recaps of ridiculous Thanksgiving and other holiday books and movies? And how do you feel about Naima Simone and I recapping amazing reality TV? All of that and more is on the Patreon. There's so much content at your fingertips as soon as you sign up. Seriously, hours and hours. Anyway, it's patreon.com/Heaving Bosoms Podcast if you want to check it out. And of course, that link is in the show notes. Keep being a badass.
Go a ton of leg, but also it does great things for her décolletage. It says décolletage. I don't know, you guys. I was just, ugh. It made me so happy.
This is when she wears the maxi dress, huh?
I'm pretty, unless I didn't read it.
No, later I had like a continuity thing where I was like, isn't she wearing a maxi dress?
No, honestly, I had that moment too. And then I realized that I think it's 2 different days.
Yes. Now I realize
so.
that.
Yeah.
Now that you've said that today is the maxi dress time.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. So Joe has picked this bar called Blues that is like a dive bar in town.
It's a dive bar in a strip mall, you guys.
And it's like kind of smells like smoke. And it's just, it's like sticky. You know those bars that are like kind of sticky, fun but sticky.
Sticky. Yeah.
And Tina's a little kind of let down because she just doesn't, not that she's a snob, but she just doesn't feel like this is a place where you would take somebody who you were like really serious about or really wanted to like be girlfriends with.
Yeah. People that like you want to canoodle with on the regular.
Right.
This is like a one night stand or like a friend bar.
Yeah. This is like a let's meet up to exchange information before we do it and never see each other again. Yeah, exactly. So, okay, so she sees Joe, who also got dressed up as wearing a cute little button down. She's got some hoop earrings. She's got some skinny jeans. She's wearing a little bit of makeup.
Ooh.
She looks cute.
And they're a big flirt.
It goes, wow, I grin at her as I slide into the seat. You look really nice. I mean, you looked cute in your beater and cutoffs too, but like, you're so pretty. So cute. So yeah, they do a big flirt. They talk about their lives. They talk about her dog and her friends, what kind of beer they like and stuff.
She says that hooking up with a plumber is definitely a porno meet cute, and Joe snorts into her beer. It's good stuff.
They talk about how Tina's a personal trainer now that she's not a professional wakeboarder anymore.
And then Joe says, you like hoppy beer and say please and thank you to the waitstaff? Marry me.
Did she talk about her divorce before Stella or after?
Before.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So Joe says something like, hey, you mentioned your divorce before. What's the deal with that? Was that like recent or a long time ago? And Joe's trying to feel out whether or not this is a rebound situation or like she's looking for something serious. But Tina gets really emotional real fast, and it's a big embarrass for Tina because she's not trying to, but she's like almost like crying thinking about her horrible divorce.
Yeah. And so Joe is like, I didn't mean to pry. And if you don't want to talk about it. And Tina says, it's not that. I still have a lot of complicated feelings for my ex, but she isn't ... She isn't queer.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe does a momentary confuse. And then she's like, oh. And then immediately says, thank you for trusting me. I can't imagine coming out is easy. And
it's like the perfect thing. It's the perfect thing to say to Joe. It's the perfect response from Joe. It was just a beautiful, seamless way.
It was. Oh, it was gorgeous. And so she feels comfortable talking about like a lot more, you know?
Mm-hmm.
She goes, it's why talking about the divorce is hard. It's why like, hanging out with my family is hard. Like a lot of these things are, a lot of the small talk, first date stuff are accidental landmines, and it's nobody's fault. It's just my reality,
Right.
Anyway, and then Joe reaches over and gives her hand a squeeze in a way that really squeezed my heart. Ooh, it's really nice. And then Stella practically skates over, I'm sure of it, and comes into the booth, and she's like, has she given you the pitch yet? Stella is the waiter / Joe's best friend. And then Tina goes, the pitch? And Joe is like deer caught in the headlights. And then Stella's like, I'm going to get out of here. Sorry. Foot in mouth. Bye. And Tina looks at Joe and she goes, oh, this isn't a date then? Oh my God.
And Joe says, this is where I have to admit to you that I didn't invite you here because I think you're cute. I mean, I do, but that's not the reason. And this was such bullshit. Like, I was so mad about it. And it's because she wants to invite her to join the roller derby team. I don't even remember the name of the Lake Loveless Roller Girls. She wants her to be on the Roller Girls. Fine. Okay, here's the thing. Guys, I liked Book. I think it's apparent. But I did not understand conflict in Book.
Conflict was non-existent in Book. Conflict did not exist. Except it did.
Conflict, not great in Book. Because
conflict was not conflict.
So Joe invites... See, to me, okay, if I'm Joe and I see Tina and I like Tina, but I also think she's very athletic and would be good on my roller derby team, I feel like then you've got to make a call. If you really feel like I coach roller derby, I cannot date roller derbies. If that's really what you think, which
roller derby can't be that serious.
Oh my God.
I mean,
Melody,
maybe
I
come
see
for
your-
my jugular
No.
HBs, but like, what the fuck, guys?
if you go for her jugular, you have to come through me, a roller derby skater, to go for it. Listen, it's not that serious, but even if you took it that serious, if you were like, I am roller derby coach, I cannot date roller derby skates.
Yeah.
I feel like at that point you have to make a call and you have to be like, hey, I coach a roller derby team. Would you like to come out with me and discuss the possibility of joining our team? Or you say, I think you're cute. Would you like to go on a date with me? You don't do both.
Yeah, I want to touch on your butt a little. Do you want some beer?
Yeah, I feel like if you really do have that line of like, I don't date skaters, you don't ask potential skater on date to ask if want to be skater.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you.
It very much annoyed me about Joe. And I know that Joe's just, confused about feelings, but still upset Erin. Yeah. And then after this, so she tells her all about roller derby team, Lake Loveless Roller Girls. And then they go outside to walk Tina back to her car.
My God. Yeah. And Joe straight up pushes her against the car and is like, you're not on the team
You're
yet?
not on the team yet? Joe, what doing? What doing, Joe?
You still coach now, Joe.
Either care or don't care.
Right. I mean, but Erin, this kiss,
but
though.
Good kiss. Yes,
boy,
like a kiss.
Boy, this kiss
therefore kiss.
was gropey and nipple pinchy, and it was a passion, and
it's like
it was a
the leg between the legs rub thing.
Yeah, it was
it's
a grind
stuff,
them up
guys.
against the car. Ooh.
It's a great kiss.
This is like chemistry on fire from the jump kind of kiss.
Yeah.
And that's, perfect for a novella.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she's like, yeah, I obviously can't date you because I'm the coach and I'm take coaching so seriously, but you're not on the team yet. Let me rub on your clit with my thigh bone. What? Joe?
I know, Joe! Take seriously or don't take seriously, but don't take a little bit seriously.
Right.
Not okay. Can I just talk a little bit?
Tell me.
Can I just get on a very small roller derby
a micro soapbox?
I'm just gonna just take a little step onto this soapbox.
Yeah.
So obviously roller derby is a big queer community. It's a big haven.
It's a safe haven, yeah.
Yes. So I feel like a lot, if not a majority of roller derby skaters are somewhere in the queer community somehow.
Sure.
And there has been this huge push, and I think, I don't know when this book came out, but for a long time to stop using terms like roller girls, derby dolls, gendered roller derby team things. And this has become a big deal in the community because we have a lot of skaters that either do not identify either way, or they don't want to be identified as girls. And that goes for women. I don't really want to, I'm a cis woman, but I don't really want to be identified as a girl either. And there are a lot of these binary and also infantilizing terms around roller derby that they are trying to get rid of. Ooh. So in a book like this, I was a little bit disappointed that they were the roller girls when there's been such a strong movement to not be roller girls anymore.
Yeah. I think I hear what you're saying, and I definitely understand that. The reason that I don't mind the title, I like the title, is just that being identified as a girl was so important to Tina.
I don't mind the title of the book. I more mind the title of the team.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
I like the title Roller Girl because I feel like Tina would say, I'm a roller girl. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But being the Lake Loveless Roller Girls as the team name, I was kind of like, so you guys don't have anybody who's non-binary or genderqueer that has an issue with that?
Totally. Yeah, that makes sense.
Anyway.
All right. So, okay, guys, I'm sorry. I'm going to skip over some side plots. Basically,
yeah, that's fine by me.
Tina's a personal trainer. There's a lot that happens in side character land that is beautiful, and you should read the book. But Melody doesn't care.
Wait a minute. Can I bing boom bong?
Yeah, okay, tell me everything.
Melody doesn't care about side plot. Fine by me.
Sure.
When Erin doesn't care about side plot, no way. We're going to talk about every little minute side plot there is. So I just wanted to put a pin to mark down. Erin gets one side plot that we don't talk about for the future.
The only reason that I actually don't want to talk about this is because it has no bearing on their relationship at all. Anytime I really, really want to talk about a side plot, it's just because it comes back in the relationship. And this tries to come back
about that. We'll
okay,
see about
or
that.
I'm in love with them. Okay.
Yeah, or you just like the side characters so much.
You know what? You can call me out if you want, but whatever, man.
I'm just saying I reserve one side plot to skip over for the future.
All right. Yeah, I'll sort of agree to that maybe. I won't remember this though, so. All right. So then Joe sends Tina a bunch of roller derby videos, and they're texting back and forth late at night, and it's very cute and intimate. But one of the things that Tina really latched onto at the bar when Joe was talking about this is that this is an opportunity. It says this is a reminder of what she's promising: companionship, friendship, teamwork, something bigger than individual glory. And it's also this entree into, it's a built-in space where she can forge connections with other women that she hasn't had really in her life, other than like her wife or whatever, because she was this big pro athlete and mostly hung out with dudes. And she does. Right. She describes Ben later on. She's like, "Oh man, Ben is such a dude. Like that's the right way. He might be gay, but he is such a dude." So she's really excited about the opportunity to have fellowship among other women and genderqueer people and queer people in general. So it's a neat thing for her, in addition to like wanting that competition again. So then there's tryouts, and she meets Lauren, who's curvy and gorgeous and nervous as fuck.
Lauren is so many roller derby skaters. I feel like Lauren is the quintessential, like, I feel like I know 16 Laurens. So Lauren is like married. She has kids. She's a cis woman, straight woman. She has decided like she's going to do a sport or something. Like she wants to get out there. She wants to do something. She wants to make friends. She wants to do something athletic that could maybe like help her get in shape or feel better about her body. And she's chosen roller derby. And then she gets pushback from her husband, who has to like watch the kids 1 or 2 nights a week while she's at roller derby. And I feel like this is such a common thing. Yeah. And she's like kind of going around. She's doing her MSRs. She's doing her little, her swizzles around the cones and stuff. But she doesn't have any speed because she's still very like tentative, which is what happens when you start roller skating when you're 30. Yes. Because your bones are brittle and you fall down far and it hurts. So she has the skills, but she just doesn't have the speed and she doesn't have the confidence yet. And at one point, Joe, so she introduces her to Lauren and like they're new skaters, but Tina's a lot better than Lauren from Go just because she's got this professional sports background, because
and she's got wakeboarding balance.
And all of this kind of stuff. And she grew up roller skating because, as she says, she was born in 1977, so of course she roller skates, which I think Lauren's younger. So Lauren's kind of like, "Oh, it's your first day, and like I've been doing this for like weeks, and you're already like at the same level as me." And I had a very similar experience when I started, coming from a figure skating background, where I showed up and I skated right up to this girl. She was also kind of like, you could tell she was new. Right. And she was kind of like tentative and stuff. And I was like, "Hi, is it your first day too?" And she's like, "Nope, I've been doing this 2 years." And I felt like a total bitch.
Oh shit.
Because there's so many different levels of like coming into, and that's why roller derby is so great, because you can really come into it at any level, having a roller skating background, having a figure skate or a hockey background, or coming in having never worked out or done a sport whatsoever. It's like open arms. It's or whether you're 50 years old or 15 years old. It's like everybody's the same. Everybody's on the same equal footing. Anyway, so Lauren's like joking around like, hey, I'm not very good. I think I probably did this just as a like excuse to wear fishnets, which I thought was really funny, which is also a lot of people I think that skate roller derby are like, I want to wear the outfits, which is fine. Do they do laps that day?
Yeah. So Jo decides that she's going to do some assessments, and it's Lauren's turn. She's passed every assessment except for the speed test. And she's like, oh my God, I wasn't expecting to do this today. And so Tina pulls out her personal training and sports background, and she's like, hey, you got this. Like, I just want you to picture your kids looking on from the sidelines and your husband cheering you on because they know you can do it. And like, you're just going to crush it. You're just going to do it.
Because that's one of the things she says. She wants to give her kids like a role model.
Yeah.
Of like, mom went out and did something that like she could be proud of that was hers, you know? Oh, it's beautiful. So
she does. Like she does it. And she makes the team, and it's a big excite. And so they decide to go out for drinks at Blues because Blues is their derby bar. And so they go. And then Jo and Tina talk because Lauren's husband he's threatened. He's worried that she's like getting a thing that doesn't involve him or whatever. And he's not responding maturely. But I do really I think the easy choice would have been to vilify him and make him an abusive husband.
Yes.
And this author does not do that at all. It's great.
That's what I mean when I said that there's no bad people in this book. Like, there are only people who have good intentions. That it's like, you know, later in the book, Tina gets misgendered by one or two people. And
it's awful.
Both times, it obviously an awful experience for Tina, but both times I'm sure the person was just, you know, wrong. You know, it's not like somebody attacked her or had malicious intent or something. You know, like there's no bad people. There's just people that are kind of trying their best in this book, you know?
Yeah.
And Lauren at one point is one of them.
Yeah, I didn't give as much credit to that hospital bitch, but I'm glad you did. I was like, ooh, hospital bitch, I don't like you.
You think she intentionally misgendered her?
I think that Tina talks about her tight workout clothes and her very obvious boobs a lot. And then hospital bitch, because she goes in workout clothes.
I was thinking that this isn't until later, but I guess I was thinking that the front desk lady was like looking down and was just listening to her voice. I guess I just was thinking that she wasn't paying attention and she was busy and she was like, oh, oops, you know, like, I'm so sorry sort of a thing more than she was trying to hurt her feelings. If she was, then that's really super shitty.
Then hospital bitch sucks.
I just didn't read it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, it would have been really easy to make this husband Chase like a big misogynist jerk, but really he's just like feeling kind of left out and feeling kind of left behind by her doing this new thing.
And so Jo is like, man, I wonder if we could get him in to like ref and like get the kids to come and we could make it a family thing because Jo actually knows Chase the husband and that's how she met Lauren. And she's like, I wouldn't have done this if I thought it was a threat to their marriage. And by the end, Lauren and Chase are taking personal training lessons. What? They're getting fit with Tina.
Well, they use
and
Tina as their personal trainer together.
Yeah.
And then he does come on and ref, which I think is hilarious that he just like comes on his first day and is like reffing. It's like, do you know rules though? Like, you need no rules.
I think, no, he was only doing that for a drill. So they were like, Chase, do this and call this out and do the whistle at this point.
Because I was a little bit worried about him putting on some zebra stripes and just being like, whistle.
Yeah, anyway, so one thing that Tina really likes about this is that she likes that Jo is a fixer. She likes that Jo is wanting to help everyone because that's very much Tina's motivations as well. Okay.
Wait, I do want to say another roller derby tidbit. is that often husbands are refs and they get their own derby names too. Like the refs get derby names, the refs get derby personas. When I was in New Orleans, the refs were mostly gay men. So it was like the skaters were the gay women for the most part. I mean, obviously there's all kinds of different people that do roller derby, but for the most part, it was like a very lesbian team. And all the men, for the most part, were gay men. And it was like this big party. And they all have names and stuff, too. Up here, it's more like boyfriends and husbands in Alaska that do it. So just so you know, if you're thinking about skating roller derby, and there's male roller derby teams, too. It's not just a female sport. It's just a little harder to find a male roller derby team. Right. Most places that are kind of smaller, that aren't big cities, aren't going to have a men's team, but you can ref and you can skate around and have all the fun and have a fun name and everything. So anyway, just want to let you know.
So cute.
Okay.
All right. So a few weeks later, it's the first bout. And Joe, because Tina hasn't made the team yet because she can't jump a sandbag. Did you have to jump a sandbag?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Was it a sandbag? Did they use a sand? Yeah.
Well,
I don't know. I had to
you
jump
had to
over
jump
something. I think it's a board. We use like a board, maybe, or like
Erin.
It's a thing on the ground.
Jump over things with skates on your feet, huh?
Honestly, you guys, and true to form, like this book gets it right. The jumping isn't that hard. You just got to do it. You know, it's a mental psych out. It really isn't hard. Yeah. You've got 4 wheels on both feet.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I've never fallen trying to jump over something, but if you go for it, you're probably going to pull it off.
Yeah, jumping on the horse is very similar. You just need to trust the horse and like lean forward and dig in, and it's fine. Right. But it's fucking scary at first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the hardest thing really is the 27.5, the thing that Lauren couldn't get. And for most skaters, because it's the most cardio intensive thing.
Yeah.
And a lot of people join roller derby having not done a lot of sports before, and that's usually the thing that ends up being the hurdle for most people.
Wow. Seriously. Jeez. Okay, so they go to their first bout, and Tina's not on the team yet, but Joe wants her to be able to watch the bouts from the bench, and so she lists Tina as their personal trainer, their team trainer, and it's adorable. She also gets Tina a very nice shirt, and they hug, you guys, about it, and it is very cute.
And Tina has sworn off. She's decided, I'm not going to date Joe because I'm on this roller derby team and this is really important to me and like my social life. But she keeps like fantasizing about her and being like, God, she's so cute though. And like how she's sweaty and how she hugged me and everything. But I think Tina, it's not that she thinks she's not interested, but she knows that Joe's not going to go for it.
She's off limits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is stupid.
Yeah. And so there's like adorable antics between the girls, like becoming friends. And, you know, Lauren is she's just like such a cis straight woman. And it's very adorable because she's very goodly intentioned.
I think she's also kind of sheltered. She talks about homeschooling her kids. You know, I think she's just not met a lot of people that are different than her.
Yeah. She's certainly not hip with the queer lingo. And so they get to do a lot of introduction that way. And everyone is so like good natured and wonderful about it. And I don't know. It was just a big
I want to read it. Can I read it?
Yeah, please.
So so one of the girls is talking about how her ex-boyfriend or husband, maybe, I think boyfriend, was a CrossFitter. And she's like very clearly with a woman. And so Lauren says, she goes, I thought you were gay. Laura looks between Stella and Rebecca with her brow wrinkled up. I'm a unicorn. Rebecca winks at her, and Joe and Stella both laugh. Okay, ladies, enough talk about Rebecca's sex life. Let's go get some pancakes, blah, 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 blah. And she goes, what did she mean when she said unicorn? Lauren whispers to me when we're back in the minivan. She's bisexual, I whisper back. Then Lauren says, is it okay to call girls gay? And Tina says, only if they call themselves gay first. You know that Google is your friend, right? Which I thought was kind of cute. Like, she's like, again, well-intentioned. Like, she's trying to figure it out. She's maybe said something that somebody else would find offensive or kind of off-putting, but she's trying to, like, figure out what's the best. And she asks Tina what she prefers, and Tina says she prefers to be called a lesbian, but she's not going to get offended if somebody calls her gay.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so I just thought it was a really cute moment where they're trying to work out.
Hey, HBs. I started an Etsy store. Did you know? Right now, it's full of all the St. Vincent items you need, because St. Vincent is thoughtful and cozy all year round. We've got a book sleeve to keep your books, planners, e-readers, or really anything else safe when you're on the go. The inside is fuzzy, and they feel so incredibly lush in your hands. I went round and round with the manufacturers to make sure I had just the right thickness. Those feature art of St. Vincent and Evie during their carriage adventure that was painted by the amazing Mayara Faraz on one side, and then I created a St. Vincent Would Always wreath on the other side that has a bunch of little Easter egg items in it. There's a St. Vincent Would Always warm brick enamel pin. It's like, if you know, you know. I designed a special edition Marriage of Convenience candle that is specific to Devil in Winter, with the help of HB Jen at Post Pouring Company. It combines dark amber for St. Vincent and rosewood for Evie, and it smells so delicious. It's hard to even wrap my brain around. So if you want to treat yourself or be the St. Vincent you want to see in the world by getting a care package for a friend, check out our Etsy store. The link is in the show notes.
Out these things.
It is really cute. Yeah. Okay. So then she finds out about Joe's ex, and her derby name is Paula Fast One, which...
Guys... You like Paula Fast One?
Listen, I don't naturally think in puns, so when I see a really clever pun, I'm very impressed.
See, one of the notes I had on this book was like, I felt like the derby stuff was really well thought out and good, but I felt like the derby names were weak sauce. Like, I felt they were not that great. When she talks
about the rest of the team, like Mandy Mayhem, I'm like, come on, man.
Some are like that, but also the other thing that was rough for me was they used the people's real names and also the derby names throughout the book. Right. I on my derby team, I knew maybe like 2 or 3 girls' real names. Probably.
Whoa.
It's just not done. It's just not said. No one says anyone's real name. The only reason I even know their real names is because I'm friends with them on Facebook.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them use their derby names on Facebook. Like, it's just not, you're not like, hey, Melody, ever. And so, they're using their real names in a way that I felt like was weird. Mm-hmm. But then their real names often were their derby names, which is also very weird. Like Mandy Mayhem.
Yeah, totally.
Anyway.
All right. So, okay. So she's the best jammer in the league, the ex is, and she's tall and gorgeous and nice. And Tina is really funny because she goes, oh, Joe obviously has a type, and it's tall girls. Like, good to know.
Tall, funny, nice, awesome, great.
Yep. So, they sit together on the bench, and then they also sit together in the back seat of the van, and they end up doing a big snuggle that I have to read. Can I read it?
But can I talk about? Stella doesn't like. So Stella doesn't like the ex-girlfriend because Joe, but it's important, even though it's a silly conflict, it is the only conflict in the book, so we have to talk about it. Stella doesn't like the fact, I guess Joe dated this girl, and then when they broke up, Joe quit the derby team because she couldn't deal with the breakup. And then when this skater went to another team, that's when Joe came back. So Stella has blamed...
No. Joe left the team and started her own team. That's why their team sucks.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah. So, Stella kind of... It's like a Yoko Ono thing. She blames the ex for, breaking up the band, and she doesn't want Joe dating anybody on the team because of that. And Joe believes that if she were to get with Tina, that it would drive a rift between her and Stella, who, by the way, is fucking someone on the team.
Yes, but she also doesn't have a history of quitting the team when things get messy.
And she's also not a coach, which is a little different. She's a jammer, but yeah, whatever. Anyway, so that's the big conflict. She also explains the concept of a derby wife, who is like your derby best friend, which is important.
Yeah. Hey, Erin, I have just a very casual question for you. It's just like the smallest question.
You don't skate roller derby. So you can't be my derby wife. I'm sorry.
Listen, I wasn't going to propose.
Were you going to ask what her name is and where she lives? Because I'm not going to give you that information either.
Come on!
You creep.
Just tell me if you have a derby wife. Just tell me.
Oh,
do you
have
like
one? Buckling down. No, I don't. I haven't done it in 2 years.
Okay, all right. Well, it was just a casual question anyway.
I'm sure she's moved on.
It's no big. There was one.
I'm sure she's found someone new.
Okay, well, it didn't even matter. So
okay, all right.
Okay, I'm gonna read the snuggle scene real quick. Ready?
Okay.
It says, she falls asleep with her head in my lap. My heart pounds in my ears. My hands clench at my sides. Where do I put them? I slide one to the soft curve of her waist above the blanket. After the van hits a bump, she startles a bit, but settles down when I smooth her hair away from her forehead. It's exquisite, beautiful agony. The hour I spend with her sleeping in my arms.
It's really cute.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so then they dance at the bar, you guys, because they all meet up at Blue's, and then they dance. And it's hot. And Tina's like, what are you doing to me? And then Joe says,
nothing you're not doing to me.
And then she says, but then Joe says, come home with me, Tina, period. No one has to know, period.
I didn't love it. I didn't
love it.
I didn't love it, especially for this character, this idea that we've got to keep it a secret. I didn't love it. But
it was not great for Tina's mental health or well-being or self-worth, or it was not great for her.
But I also understand being this author and wanting to write a sweet little novella that's just like all positive vibes about a roller derby team and trying to dig around for conflict in there and be like, that she's the coach. Yeah.
No, I will. I'll give you that.
Stuff.
I'm glad it's not a more serious conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then they go to a skating rink. Oh my god. Yeah, they do. Well, yeah, let's skip to the skating rink. Anyway, there's really good banter that goes into the skating rink stuff, but they decide that they want to go skating because Tina hasn't been able to skate all day. And so then that turns into like fun skate flirting, and then that turns into Joe on her knees helping Tina get a knot out of her skate lace, and then that turns into Joe straddling Tina and doing a big makeout, and then everybody's topless, and then Joe gets Tina off over her pants like a wizard. Like a big old lesbian wizard.
You guys, this is like the third remove a shoe sex scene I've read in the span of 2 months. That's all I have to say there. Wait. And wait, have you read any remove a shoe sex scenes lately?
No.
Okay, then it must have been in the third Joanna Shoup book, one that just came out, the Uptown Girls one.
That you sent me about 15 screenshots of.
You guys, it was so good. But one of the ways they get it on is he removes her bowling shoe. And it got real hot removing a bowling shoe.
Wow. So Erin, not only was it a remove the shoe sex scene, but it was a remove a special athletic shoe sex scene.
Yes. That's why I was like, is this something I'm into now?
Is this a new kink?
Am I going to be okay at roller rinks and bowling alleys from here on out? It was weird for me.
I support it.
Yeah.
Okay. So then Tina asks Joe if she wants to come home with her. And then they pull up to the house and Tina's like, ugh, it feels weird to take you to the house I bought with my ex-wife.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to do. And so Joe goes, why don't you come to my place? It'll be only orgasms and waffles, I promise. And I have never heard a better proposition.
Yeah.
Orgasms and waffle zone? Yeah. Okay.
I imagine one of those Discovery Zone or Dave and Buster's or something like that, but for Melody called Orgasms and Waffles Zone. That's what I imagined when you said that.
Yup. Uh-huh.
Yup.
Yes. Oh yeah.
All right. I'm writing this down. Sex club called Orgasms and Waffles. TM.
Yes. TM.
Maybe. I'm just putting it on the ideas list for Heaving Bosoms 5-year plan.
Yeah. For the Heaving Bosoms empire.
Intellectualism in 2020, orgasms and wafflesism in... No, we already said it's remembering things in 2021. It's all right. So maybe 2022. Right.
Oh boy, who knows? Okay, so then we have this sex scene that is so good and so like verbally reassuring and so can I take this off of you? I think you're so hot. It's just a big consent boner, and it's just wonderful.
And Tina has a little bit of anxiety that Joe is really good at just because she had the anxiety about taking her home, in her wife's house. But also, I don't know if she's had sex post-surgery or not.
Well, in chapter 1, she said, yeah, right, because
she was still living with her wife for a while.
Her wife wasn't queer, she said. So I don't know if they even attempted it. She doesn't talk about it.
They talk about how they attempted the marriage for some time, and her wife was supportive and took care of her during the time where she was transitioning, and they tried to make it work, and then they ultimately just couldn't. And I don't know if that meant that they tried to make it work sexually and ultimately just couldn't.
Well, I think that there was an undertone. It's never explicitly said, but the next morning, so now we're in the next morning, and they're having deep talks. And so the marriage gets brought up again, and we find out that, Lisa did take care of her throughout the transition and post-surgery and all of that. But then she says, she sort of like cries a little, and she's like, ultimately, we needed things that the other couldn't give each other. Mm-hmm. And man, that's really tough. Mm-hmm. And I do wonder if sex was part of that,
Yeah, I don't know. But either way, whether they had attempted to make it work sexually and it didn't, or they had never attempted, I would think that there would be a lot of complicated feelings about having sex for the first time because she's had both top and bottom surgery.
Right.
And either, I feel like there would be a lot of, weird shame around it if you tried to have sex with your spouse and it was you weren't what they were looking for.
Right.
Or this is just the first time you're showing your bits to somebody.
Totally.
And she picked the right partner because Joe is just... so hot and so great about it.
Yeah, and she's just, like I said, a lot of verbal reassurance, a lot of obvious physical cues that she's super, super into everything they're doing and all of Tina. It's just great. Okay, and then the dog gets caught on a strap-on, right? And
yes!
So having this...
So Tina brought her dog over to Joe's house.
Yes.
Yeah, and boy, does this dog, Elvis, who's a pit bull, just get freaking tangled up at a strap-on from under Joe's bed. I'm really glad.
He comes.
Does he have that dildo in his mouth?
No. He got caught in the straps.
Good.
And so the dildo is just flopping on the ground behind him, chasing him. Because he can't get away from it. And so Tina, they're they're rolling on the floor. And Tina's like, oh, I'm so sorry that big mean penis wouldn't leave you alone. It's so good. Anyway, so then they end up giggling on the floor. And then they talk about maybe having some strap-on sexes.
Well, first there's some kind of apprehension because Tina's like, well, why would you even have this? Is it because you want somebody that has a penis, because if you haven't noticed, I don't have one of those.
I disposed of mine.
Yes, I'm not going back. So
right.
That's not happening around here. Is that something that you feel like you need or want?
Right.
And she's just like, just because I'm gay doesn't mean like I don't like to get fucked by something every once in a while. And also,
I like penetrating other things too.
Yeah, I really like putting my dick on and having sex with somebody. And when she says that, Tina's like, you call it your dick?
Your dick?
Like, I'm a little bit intrigued by the situation. She's like, I'm not into men, but also like there's something really... And she goes through this whole thing of like, why am I into this? And until finally she's like, I don't need to figure out why I'm into this. I just am into this. That's okay, right? And Joe's like, yeah, you don't need to know why. Yeah. You can just be into stuff.
Definitely okay with me. Well, and it's partly because of the way that Joe talks about it. Because she talks about like strapping her big dick on and just fucking someone with her big dick. And Tina's like, oh, golly.
Oh, dear me.
Oh,
my stars.
It's like that. It's so cute. Okay. So then they have a whole weekend like this. Just orgasms and waffles. Like just the dream of everyone.
I have reread. So there's this whole thing where she's got to take one of her personal training clients to the hospital.
Yes.
It's one of the things that we have skipped over. However, I have now reread it to the extent that it's a trigger warning for anybody listening. It does say when I get there, the nurse behind the ER intake desk blanches visibly and shakes her head. And then later on down says, I'm sorry, sir, I can't let you back here. So you're right. Like she did get a good look at Tina.
Dare that woman.
I'm on board with you now. I'm sorry.
No, you didn't see.
I still think it comes from a place of ignorance and not like she's not trying to like humiliate her. I don't know.
Sure.
I think she's just more like surprised and confused and doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
But she definitely got a good look at Tina and she definitely misgendered her like because she didn't know. She's bad. She's bad. Because she's
completely.
bad.
She's not a good. That's for certain.
She's not a good. She did it wrong.
Yeah.
She does apologize after Tina says, actually, I'm a woman. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry or something like that. But
can I read one more thing from the previous sex scene? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
Always. You may always read something from the previous sex scene. Don't be sorry.
Yeah, it's just so good. Okay, so it says, this is after they talk about, like, do I have to know why the strap-on is hot to me? And they're like, no. So the next thing I know, Joe and I are stretched out on the floor and her tongue is in my mouth. The carpet abrades our elbows, our shoulders. I don't care. She shoves away my pants, pushes up my t-shirt, and bites the hollow of my belly, the edge of my ribs, the bottom swell of my breast. My skin aches and swells everywhere she touches me, and I want to bottle this raw honesty, this naked need that lets me guide her down my body until her hands and tongue shake me free again.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, it's a beautiful.
It's a hot.
Ooh,
it's a good.
It's a good. Okay, so then we forgot to tell you.
We forgot to mention.
At the roller derby bout, she runs into this reporter that she knew from before. And the reporter's like, hey, I think it would be really cool to do it. I work for like the sports section of the news station. And I think it would be cool to do like a sports human interest story about your old career and like finding roller derby again. So like, let me know if you're interested. And Tina's really worried about this because she didn't come out publicly. She just sort of retired from wakeboarding life. She retired quietly at her peak because she had won enough money via wakeboarding championships that she could fund her transition. And so she was just like, all right, everybody, I'm out. Never see you again. Bye.
Well, also, Ben, the best friend, he broke his back wakeboarding.
Yes.
And so they did this together. And then without him, it kind of wasn't fun for her anymore.
Yeah.
So she even says in the interview, like, once he was out of the way, it was like super easy for me to win everything. And then I won enough things where I could pay for my transition. So I just stopped. So it kind of stopped being fun because she no longer was there with her bestie.
Right. So she does decide that she is going to do the interview, and that's very exciting. And then she does assessments. Except she shows up and Joe is like a stranger. She barely talks to her or anything. And then she makes everybody...
First, it's assessment nights. We're going to test all of the
all of your
skills.
Physical strengths and skills.
All of your MSRs. We're testing them tonight. But she makes everybody do suicides first. So she's like very worried that everyone's going to see that her and Tina are getting close and like leaving the parties together and stuff. And then they're going to think that she like went easy on Tina for assessments. So to make sure no one even like kind of thinks that, she makes everybody do suicide sprints first. And is this where Chase comes and he does referees times?
No, not yet.
Okay.
No.
Everybody does suicide sprints first and then do their laps and then do
bananas.
All the stuff.
And then do a jump or whatever.
Yeah. And then Tina's never had a problem with laps. She's an athlete. But she goes to jump over the bag and she just like bears down and like does it. And then she talks about that feeling of flying that she used to have like wakeboarding, but now she has it for roller derbies. It's very cute.
It's so sweet.
And she passes.
Yeah.
But then Joe comes over and she's like just cold.
She's like, hey, Tina, great job.
Professional.
Bye. But then they go to Blue's to celebrate, and Joe, after a while, she's like, Tina's dancing with everybody and she's talking with Stella, and Joe asks her to talk in the van, which, like, here's the thing, Joe. First of all, care or don't. Second of all, a really easy way to make sure people don't think you guys are fucking is to, like, not go and talk privately in a van together in the middle of a party. Or, like, don't leave the parties together, maybe. Drive your separate fucking vehicles. It's not hard.
Yeah, no. I very rarely need to talk to my friend alone in a van.
Right? Like, just stop doing shit like that, Joe, and then you're cool. You're golden.
But maybe, again, and I've said this a lot on the cult, I like my personal relationships to be performative in nature. So I don't even really understand leaving to talk in a van. I like having all of my important discussions like in front of thousands of people if possible.
If at all possible.
And we've made it possible.
We did. We engineered that shit.
We did it.
Okay. So they do go and talk in that van, and it goes from 0 to 350 before they even open the door. Like, this was one of the things that, because I didn't really buy into the conflict, every time they fought, I was just like, how did we get here? Melody blindsided.
And why not fix? Why not just fix?
Why so hard? Why so mad? But Tina she's really upset because she's like, you were bullshit today. The way you treated me was bullshit. The way that you tested us today was bullshit. Like, you shouldn't punish me for fucking you. Like, it's one thing to be professional, and it's another thing to be a giant dickhole and make it almost impossible for me to make the team with your suicide sprint antics.
And she says, if this is how you treat your girlfriends, no wonder Chloe broke up with you. Woof.
Yeah, that was a yikes.
Yeah.
Anyway, but then Joe's sexy voice cracks on the word please. And so they go home together, you know?
Did she call Ben, though?
No, that's the next fight. That's the next fight. Okay. So then they decide she's going to rock the pivot position, and they practice some panty toss, which is when Lauren's husband Chase comes and refs and whistles at and everything.
I do. And then, I talked about refs a lot already, and I made it sound like it was
Tell me about those zebras.
I'm so sorry. I just don't want to say anything. I want to encourage people to do roller derby, and I just want to say it's not just boys that are refs. Everyone can be refs.
Oh, yeah.
And there is also a large population of refs that are either people who have not made the team yet, so they haven't passed their skills.
Ooh.
Or people that like skating and like roller derby, but don't really want to get beat the shit out of.
They don't want to get
the hitting and do the
tit.
Yeah, but they want to be part of the team and they want to skate. And you get to skate a lot being a ref. You just aren't like, in the thing.
Right.
You know? So if skating appeals to you and the game and the team and, you know, having a name and a persona and like going and hanging out with everybody and like having this team appeals to you, you might want to consider being a ref for your local team. Anyway, just wanted to say that.
Fun.
Okay. All right.
Wow. All right. Anyway, so everyone leaves and they can't keep their hands off of each other. And then Lauren comes back for her phone. And Lauren sees them smooching up on each other.
Yeah.
And so they ask Lauren to like keep it on the DL. And then we find out about the Stella history and about how she's weird about, you know, Joe dating people. And Joe's like, that's why I need more time to tell the team, mostly Stella, her derby wife. And it's a whole thing. And then they go back to Joe's house, everybody, and they do some super hot, dirty talking, using a vibrator sex.
Oh,
and
I
a
thought this
sit
was
on a
strap-on
face.
times. It was not?
Okay, no. So when they get back to her house, Joe like rips off her t-shirt dress or whatever, and then Tina says, I want you to fuck me. I want you to use your strap-on. But then they get into the room and they get so hot and heavy that I think Joe just like grabs a penetrative vibrator and uses it on Tina.
I thought that was the strap-on. Okay,
No,
I thought it was like
she-
a vibrating dildo.
No, if you're excited about strap-on times in this book, you're not going to get any strap-on times.
I thought but you guys, if you're excited about strap-on times in this book, it's very easy to pretend that this scene was strap-on times because I thought it was the whole time. I just thought that it was like a vibrating strap-on.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Those exist, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, like,
I mean, I know I'm cool. I know that they exist. I know all about them.
you can get double-sided dildos that you put on strap-on so that both partners get the penetration as one is fucking the other, technically. Like, there's a big wide world of strap-ons out there.
Too complicated for this girl.
You can get a strap-on where you can insert a clitoral vibrator so that both of you also get clitoral vibration while one or both of you is being penetrated by the strap-on at the same time. You know,
listen, friends, if that's your thing, go for it. But I have a lot of respect for somebody who can use that much robots and like still keep it going. Like, I just feel like there's so much coordination that's involved with what you just said that it would just be so much logistics. It'd be like, no, move over here. Okay, just a little bit to the left. All right, and we got to do the on switch. Okay, and then like I just feel like it would be so much. It would be so much. I don't have that level of coordination. All right.
Fair enough. I mean, there are
Moving
also
on.
like more user-friendly toys too. Like anyway.
I know. I've been to the stores, okay?
Yeah.
I just don't know what all the buttons do. Listen.
No, I hear you. I hear that. But what I'm saying is, at the end of this scene, Joe says, I hope you don't mind that I didn't actually get out the strap-on. And Tina is like noodling.
Oh, I missed
and she's
that.
like,
Totally missed
no, I don't mind.
All right.
Okay, see, you got the breed of dog. I got the which toy came out when.
Let's see if it's right. It's not remembering things in 2021 yet.
It's not.
It's intellectualism. And we have talked about some great intellectual stuff in this episode, may I say.
We. Jeez.
All right.
Pats on backs. Okay. So then she goes and does the interview because when she decides,
because she goes to the pool. She goes to Ben's pool. She goes and swims in Ben's pool, and Dave's there, who is Ben's fiance.
Yeah.
And she's like, Dave, let me talk to you. I'm supposed to do this interview. And it's supposed to be about my wakeboarding career transitioning into like this fun derby sport. But I don't see that there's any way that this isn't going to be about me being transgendered.
Right.
Because they're going to talk about, my former self, and they're going to talk about, as much as it's about wakeboarding versus derby, it's going to be about male presenting versus female.
Yeah, they're going to show pictures of me holding wakeboard trophies when I won them, and that's
it's going to become
scary.
about that, and that's not. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do this. And Dave says,
"Ooh, Dave."
Dave says, when you were a little girl and you were sitting there and you knew, that you were transgender and you're in the wrong body and that, like you knew there was something wrong, wouldn't you have loved to see, and especially as an athlete, wouldn't you have loved to see somebody like you who's an athlete on television, and what would that have meant to you, Tina?
Yeah,
and she realizes
have opened up horizons in front of you.
Yes, she realizes that would have meant everything. And maybe her whole life would have been different had she seen a representation like that on television when she were younger.
Yeah.
And so she decides she's going to do the interview. Also, she kind of knows this sportscaster.
Yes.
Who had been, she was Miss Lake Loveless or something like that. She knew her somehow from some kind of like beauty competition. I don't know. But she knows her kind of. So she knows that she's probably in good hands, too. That they're not going to embarrass her or make a spectacle out of the situation.
Yeah. So she shows up, and I thought there was the really good scene when the producer came over. Because she knows she's in good hands with the woman.
Yes.
But that woman is an intern, and so she only has so much power. But then the producer comes over, and there's this really awesome back and forth in which he's like, so... just so I'm perfectly clear, you do prefer female pronouns. And she's like, yes. And then he says, and when we speak about your past career prior to transition, which pronouns would you prefer we use? And she goes, my pronouns are still female pronouns. I was assigned male at birth, but I am not male. And I have never been male. Thank you for asking, by the way. And so he nods and very businesslike and normal, because it's businesslike and normal.
He also asks her what is off limits for the interview. And she says, the 3 things that are off limits are my ex-wife, my current relationship status, and the contents of my underwear. Because, guys, don't ask people what their genitals are like. Just like a general rule. Like, generally.
What is that?
Regardless of whether someone is trans or not. Don't ask people what their genitals are like, unless you need to know for that moment because you're about to go there and do stuff to them. Like, sometimes maybe you're just like, you're just trying to get a lay of the land because you're about to go down there. That's fine. But like casual conversation, professional conversation, don't do that.
Yeah. What is that? How is that a thing?
Listen. When I found out that this was a common thing that people on the street ask trans people, it blew my fucking mind.
I remember the first time I read that on like Facebook or whatever, and my jaw just dropped, and I literally could not compute for about 5 seconds. Because how is that a thing that people have to deal with? How is that a thing that even pops in your mind as remotely appropriate to ponder or let alone speak out loud into the world?
This was told to me by a speech friend who is trans, and that people that in our speech community would go up to him and be like, so what's the deal now? It's like, no. And that's a very woke and liberal community. I have no fucking clue what the deal is. Anyway, stop it out there.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. If you're hearing this for the first time, don't ever do that.
Don't do it.
Just don't. This is from two cis ladies.
Yeah.
Telling
you what to...
And how dare you?
It's not just for trans people. Don't ask anybody what their genitals are like. Just generally.
But just why? Don't.
I don't understand why it would be different for a trans person. Like, why would you ever ask one of your colleagues, so, like, what's your vagina like?
Yeah, right?
Like, you would never do that.
Should we get a ruler out and see how big that dick is?
Exactly.
Boss? Like, no!
Like, how does it feel when you have sex? Coworker? It's so weird. Anyway,
it's so weird.
Moving on.
Yeah. Anyway, one thing that I really liked, and one thing that I thought was cool, because you don't always see it in like casual parlance. The guy is like, when we're talking about your wakeboarding career, we'll do what we can to refer to you only by your last name. And then he says, should we need to use a first name, we'll only use your dead name if it's absolutely unavoidable. And then Tina says, I appreciate that.
Is that a common term, dead name? I'd never heard that before.
I think so. I mean, I've heard it enough that I think it's...
This is the first time I've heard it. But I was trying to think all the friends I have had that are trans were able to use their names or some version of it. So it didn't end up being a problem. Like, fortunately, they just happened to have names that were easily convertible.
Yeah.
So I just never heard it before, and I was wondering. Cool.
Yeah.
I learned a new thing.
Yeah, it was very cool. Anyway, so that goes really well. And then, wait. Okay. Oh, sorry.
You were so serious.
I got real serious.
Yeah, you did.
So the next scene isn't super important. Joe is sick, and it's an opportunity to go check in with Tina's friends. Elvis does decide to stay with Joe, which is adorable and hilarious.
Important.
Yeah. And my only note in this scene is hello, everyone. Can you please stop using the term lover? Please.
Tina likes it. Tina likes it when Joe calls her lover.
I hate it.
I know you do, but it's not about you. It's about Tina, and she loves it.
Oh. Well, so it's not just Tina, though. And I think this is why I finally wrote it down, because I was like, okay, Tina and Joe call each other lovers. That's fine for them. That's great.
She's really trying, you guys.
But then in this scene, it's Tina talking to Eddie about Wish, and Eddie looks at Wish with hearts in his eyes, and Tina's like, "Oh, he's looking at his lover," and I was just
Here's the thing about Wish. I don't know a ton about Wish, but listen.
I feel like lover is not a term he likes to use.
I feel like lover is maybe the only term you can use for Wish.
No! I think Wish prefers daddy. Thank you.
Yeah, fair enough. But you get what I'm saying here. I don't know that Wish is your boyfriend. I feel like Wish is your lover.
Okay. I see where you're going with that.
Which I'm sure we will get a beautiful book about Wish and Eddie and their...
Or maybe we did.
Or maybe we already did. And they're very serious boyfriends who have very deep feelings for each other and will someday be husbands, and isn't that so wonderful? However, me looking in, I'm just like, that's a lover.
Fair. Okay, so then the team watches the interview together at the bar. They shut down the bar.
Yeah.
The girls love it, and they love her, and they give her big smooches, and it's just a big wonderful.
Yeah.
And she talks about how Derby is so inspiring because it's a time when their bodies aren't on display. It's just all about what their bodies can do for them in these badass ways. And it's just it's a big inspire. So, okay, then on the way home, Joe apologizes because when she saw that Tina said their relationship was off limits, she tapped her under the table and said thank you. And Tina was like, I'm pretty salty about that, but I'm letting it go because Joe says she needs more time. So Joe apologizes, and then that turns into a big 0 to 1,000 fight.
Yeah.
And this is when she calls Ben.
Oh, okay. The only thing I wanted to highlight about when she calls Ben is she says, "Hey Ben, I'm here at Blues and I need you to pick me up." And the first thing out of his mouth is,
she's at Joe's house.
Oh, okay, fine, whatever. I'm here and I need a ride. And the first thing he thinks is, "Are you safe?"
Yeah, he says that out loud. Are you safe?
Ugh.
Oh man, yeah. Okay, so I do want to give justice to this conflict because part of her inner monologue is, when it comes right down to it, I want her to choose me. I want her to choose Derby and me. And if she can't tell the team that she and I are dating on the night I told the whole world I used to have a dick, then I don't know if it's ever going to happen. And I don't want to be the one that forces her to say it.
Yeah.
And that makes a lot
Tina's
of sense.
right.
Tina.
I mean, it's a nothing conflict. And the reason it's a nothing conflict is Tina's 100% right and Joe needs to get over it.
Yep, exactly. Anyway, so Ben comes to get her, and he offers ice cream and movies and comforts and love. And she's like, no, I need to be alone. Because in Tina's brain, Lisa always took care of her. Lisa took care of everything. And she doesn't want to be that person anymore. She wants to take care of herself and be an adult out in the world. And so she goes home, and then Joe calls her crying and to apologize. And she says, you're absolutely right. And she just says, I need more time. And Tina says, I think that we should just end this now before it hurts more, because I don't know what more time is, and you can't tell me what more time is. So we have to be done. And they decide that she's still going to be on the team. And Tina says, don't go back to your asshole, like treating me like a stranger, because that's not okay. And Joe's like, yeah, okay, cool. So they're not together for weeks.
But then is the first bout.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, okay, so Tina has chosen the name Hoochie Glide, which is a great derby name. It is apparently a wakeboarding skill. I tried to do a similar thing with my original derby name, Felony Murder. It didn't work out because no one liked it. You guys, it's a great derby name. It's a good lawyer name.
I think so.
My friend HB Brandon thought of it because a felony murder, because people would be like, aren't all murders felonies? It's like, no, specifically a felony murder is when you're in a group of people, like you're robbing a bank or something. Yeah. And like, say you're the getaway driver, but they murder somebody in the bank, you're going to be charged with first-degree murder. It's like, if a murder happens, everyone's going to get charged with felony murder because you were all in the conspiracy to do the thing that resulted in the murder. It's usually a bank robbery or something like that. You're hitting a 7-Eleven or something like that.
Yep.
So that's a great name for a roller, because we're all together. We're going to go down together. Felony murders. No one liked it. It was the worst. Anyways, I hope it works out for Hoochie Glide and everybody gets it. Whatever. So she's picked this name. They do the bout. She jams for a little bit, if I recall correctly.
Because Stella, she's going to play pivot, but then Stella drops a keg on her foot. Oh my God, I remember. Stella.
So it's not just like she's a pivot who jams for a little bit. It's like she is the jammer for the game.
Yeah.
She does good. They win. They go to the bar. And then at the bar... They go to the freaking bathroom, her and Joe, and starts making the outsies in the bathrooms.
Nope.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
Gotta rewind. Nope.
Accurate.
We're rewinding. That's true, but we're rewinding. So after the bout, they are signing autographs. Okay.
Oh, you're right. I'm so sorry.
They are signing autographs.
Oh my God. Yes, she's gonna lose her shit. I can see it already.
I'm gonna lose my shit. So this little kid comes up and she asks what their name is, and they say Thomas.
There's something like the kid says something like, my mom says my friends and family can call me Thomas, or something like that. Like Thomas was not their birth name, or there was something in there okay, now I'm Thomas and my friends and family can call me Thomas, and my mom says that you can be like my friends and family.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a kid maybe 7 or 8 wearing jeans, a white tee, and a gender-neutral ponytail approaches with mom hovering like a wary, watchful dragon. They hold up a pair of skates. Sign my boots? I kneel down at their height. Sure, sweetheart. What's your name? They turn to their mom, who smiles and whispers something in their ear. I'm Thomas to friends. They puff out their chest. And family. My mom says, your family. I look up at her sharply and she nods. I'm Sarah. I'm trying to be a good ally for my child. And guys,
Nobody's losing her shit. She's full on red face.
It was so beautiful.
Oh no. It got her.
It's so gorgeous. This whole thing, I literally cried in my kitchen today. It's wonderful. Anyway, so then the mom says, thank you, Sarah whispers fervently. You're the first trans they've met. Oh, because she says, do you like boy pronouns? And Thomas says, I think someday I'll use boy pronouns, but I'm not ready for that yet. And so they're like, I use they, them. And Tina looks at this kid and she goes, you use they, them for as long as you want. It is yours, and don't let anybody take it away from you. And then they're like, yep, okay, cool. Ugh. Anyway,
I was not emotional at all for this part, but I am watching you sob right now. Jeez.
I'm so sorry.
Stop it, you guys. My friend is crying.
It's a big inspire because representation matters. And they saw the thing on the news, and it was really important for a real kid out in the world.
Melody's having a week, you guys.
Anyway, so
it's fine. Honestly, I really did have to like stop and take emotional stock of myself when she said something about her being a little girl, because it's something I'd never thought about before, and it really did kind of knock me on my ass. So I get it.
This thing is so gorgeous. Okay, so now we can go to the party, and then they can go to the bathroom. Okay,
yeah, so they go to that bathroom, and they're just like making outsies, and they're like pulling up each other's shirts, and they're like touching on each other's boobs and stuff. And guess who walks in? Stella.
What, guys? Did you see that coming? I didn't.
But also, like, guess who's pissed? Stella. And, like, guess who's, like, apparently fucking blind and, like, totally it doesn't, like, I just feel like they dance together at every party and with no one else. They
always leave together.
Every game, every practice, every party together.
Joe has not been available for a weekend hang in about 2 months.
When Tina said that her relationship status was off limits to the news, Joe hit her in the leg and mouthed, "Thank you," in front of all of her teammates. Like, how dumb do you have to be, Stella? Come on. But anyway, she's pissed.
So they have a big fight, and then Tina's like, "Hey, you guys, this is important, but I need you to think about whether or not this is more important or your friendship is more important. And if it's the friendship, then I'm going to go and you guys are going to hash it out and we're going to be friends." And they're like, "Yeah, I'm mad right now, but she's totally my BFF forever."
This meaning the fight. Like, if this fight is more important or your friendship, not our relationship. I just, the way you said it sounded kind of like, choose between me and Stella. And that's not what she was saying.
Not at all. She was saying, "I am super here for your friendship and I support you in all things. Yes. I think you should get over yourselves."
Yeah.
But the really important thing was that when Stella walked in and said, "What the fuck is going on?" Joe turned around and giggled and said, "I'm making out with my girlfriend. Can you give us some privacy?" And Tina is gobsmacked and she's like, "Girlfriend?
I'm a girlfriend."
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's great stuff. So then she goes out front and hugs on Tina, and they decide that they're going to be together. And then the epilogue is they run a derby camp for kids that Thomas is at, and I'm totally emotionally okay. It's great.
Glad to know that's what happened in the epilogue.
It's so great. Anyway,
all right. Do you have a lady love?
Yeah. I do. I have a lady love. Where is it? What's your lady love?
Okay, so my lady love comes through someone else, so I can't really like recommend it, but it was something that I wanted to tell you about, and then I forgot to, and then so I was like, I'll just make it my lady love.
I dig it.
So my friend Karen, HB Karen Kiley, who you can find on Twitter, award-winning romance author, was texting me about our Strangelove episode because, as you recall, she's a Strangelove maniac and cannot stop. But she was saying, so if you subscribe to Anne Aguirre's newsletter, she's put out 2 chapters at a time, I think, the romance story of Helix?
Yeah.
Oh, you know this already?
Helix is going to come out, yeah. Oh, I didn't know she serialized it in her newsletter, though.
You knew that Helix had a romance story?
Yeah.
But I'm sorry. I thought I was going to make you so happy and blow your mind. How did you know about this?
Very
Assumption?
Excited about it. A, assumption, and B, it's been all over the cult.
Oh, fine. Whatever. Fine. Apparently, Melody already knew about it. But if you go to her newsletter, you can read it now, right now.
That is
It's
really
not
cool.
over yet, but you can read most of it. And there's apparently aliens that have head tentacles and have sex with their head tentacles.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know that, and you just made me the happiest.
There you go.
Wow.
Fine. Good.
Tentacle sexes, eh?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Head tentacles. It's like cone heads, but with tentacles.
That is excellent.
Are you about to read us a poem?
No. Thank you very much. How
you
dare
have the stance of somebody who's about to read a very moving quote or poem.
Nope. That is not at all what I'm gearing up for. No, you know what? I'm going to give you 2 because I'm just using up my lady loves. 1 is Old Guard. The movie Old Guard.
Oh, you mean that movie that you watched instead of Palm Springs?
Everybody to
when
watch
Palm Springs was available,
Guard.
That you were like,
Wow.
oh, I'm watching Old Guard tonight and I can or whatever.
There is this movie, you guys, called Old Guard. And it is an action spectacular. It is a Charlize Theron and a Kiki Lane, and it is wonderful. But nestled in this action found family, wonderful, righteous indignation deliciousness is the romance of the century between the characters Joe and Nikki. Okay? It is one of the most beautiful gay romances that I have ever seen on the big screen. It is one of the most beautiful declarations of love that I've ever seen on the big screen. Old Guard, you guys. It is so good.
I see your face. All right, fine. Jeez.
It is a big old romance.
Mm-hmm.
They definitely leave it open for a second movie, which I am over the moon about. It's wonderful. Okay. And also, do you think that Charlize Theron, like, as she's gotten older, has just, like, decided, fuck it, I'm going to become the action star of everyone's dreams? I don't know. Is this just what she's always meant to be? Or is this a calculated move? I don't know.
I think she just likes doing it.
God, she's amazing.
I think she just has fun doing it. I think she just likes doing athletic sort of roles, and she's kind of grown into her own.
I love it. She really
But you know,
has.
like, Long Shot was a fantastic movie, and it's a recent Charlize Theron movie. You know, the one with, you know, when she's like running for president.
I haven't seen that yet.
Oh my gosh, Melody, it was so good.
Oh.
That's like a really good romantic comedy. Like, really good, solid.
It's a rom-com?
Yes!
Oh. Is that the one with Seth Rogen?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, we'll watch it. On the list now. Because now, after Palm Springs, I'm taking every single recommendation Erin Grace.
God, you guys, this bitch
Palm
for
Springs
weeks.
is so
for
good.
Weeks.
It was 4 days. It was 4 days, Erin.
It felt like weeks. I truly felt like until you watched Palm Springs, I would have nothing to talk to you about.
It's
I
true.
felt like we had nothing in common anymore.
I would be like, hey, podcast business, or like, hey, something happened, and she'd be like, Palm Springs. Palm Springs make Melody feel better. Palm Springs is movie.
She'd be like,
Melody
oh gosh,
watch.
I'm having a bad day. I guess I'll go watch The Handmaid's Tale or something. I'm like, no, stop it. I forget what you, but you know, like stuff that's not, I guess I'll just watch something that's not Palm Springs. Like, oh God, you bitch. Oh, it was the worst.
She was so mad at me.
I was.
She was so mad at me. Okay. Then my other, no, I'm going to save it for next week.
Okay.
No, I'm going to say it now.
Oh my God.
No. It's just, I want everybody to listen to it on our journey together. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So there's this podcast from The Ringer now, and it's called Higher Learning. It's with Van Lathan and Rachel Lindsay. We've got a lot of Bachelor fans out here.
One.
And Rachel was the first and only Black Bachelorette. She's great. She does a Bachelor podcast as well, but it's like super sanitized in only the way that Bachelor can. And like Becca's sweet, but also kind of sucks. And if you want to hear Rachel Lindsay's real take on
hot takes,
anything and everything. And Van, he is excellent as well. It's all centered around Black issues, and they mostly use news or happenings that are very, very current in order to then like talk about broader issues. And it's really, really, really good. I'm going to be honest with you. There are times when I'm like, they're talking about a young artist that I have never heard of before because I haven't listened to music in forever. Like, new music is not really a thing in my life at the moment. We're so old. So they'll talk, or they'll talk about somebody and I'll be like, I gotta Google that person. So here I go. And it's good shit. So Higher Learning, listen to it. I love it. It's good stuff. All right. So keeping a badass.
And love yourself as much as you love taking a visit to our new sex club. It is called Orgasms and Waffles, TM. It will be open in 2022.
It's Melody's favorite place on the planet.
It is Melody's. Melody is the face of Orgasms and Waffles. I am a silent investor in the project, and I think it's going to take off.
Man, I had forgotten that happened.
I told you I wrote it down.
I love it. All right. I love you tons.
I love you too. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, you. Yes, listener, you. Are you loving the show? If so, please leave a rating and review in your podcast app. The 90 seconds you take to say something nice not only helps new people find the show, but it makes me super smile over at HBHQ. Also, I've had a few people ask, and the answer is yes. We are still doing the 5-star bribe. If you leave us a review with 5 stars, then we'll do whatever book you want. We're real deep into the list, though, so it might be a while. Lilas! Okay, back to the show.